It always starts the same way. She looks at you, not as you are, but as who she imagines you might become. You feel it in her eyes, don't you? That flicker of hope, or is it hunger? You think you're being seen, understood, finally. But you are not. You are being measured, weighed, reshaped. You are not the man. You are the potential. And in that moment, you mistake her gaze for salvation. But hear this, and hear it clearly. Sometimes what looks like love is the first draft of your damnation. Because there exists a type of woman, not all, but some, who does not want to nurture you. She wants to own you, not to love, but to mold, not to receive, but to extract. And once she has you, the version of you that pleased her vision, she will hate you for being it. This is not a game. It is a metamorphosis. And you must decide whether it is transformation or annihilation. Nietzsche once said, "Man is the cruelest animal, but some cruelty comes not with teeth, but with tenderness, the kind that cloaks control in care, that hides domination beneath devotion. She does not break you with brutality. She breaks you with belief in the better version of yourself, a version she wrote, cast, and directed. She does not see the real, she sees the role, and men, desperate for meaning, desperate to be chosen, gladly play along. They wear the mask, they speak the words, they perform, but performance has a cost. Because one day, when the applause fades, when you falter, as all men must, she will turn, not out of cruelty, but out of disgust. The disgust of a dream betrayed, and you will stand there, shattered, not because she changed, but because you agreed to become her illusion. There's a strange morality in her world. It's not rooted in right or wrong, but in dominance and preservation. She will praise your ambition until it threatens her control. She will admire your confidence until it no longer needs her validation. You'll hear her say things like, "You've changed. You're not who I thought you were. I miss the man you used to be." But that man never existed. He was a projection, and you, blinded by approval, became a loyal actor in a fiction she herself authored. Nietzsche warned, all things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power, not truth. She will reinterpret you as needed. She will twist the meaning of your strength, your silence, your ambition. Today's protector becomes tomorrow's threat. Today's mystery becomes tomorrow's failure to communicate. Not because of you, but because the illusion she built is collapsing. If you lack the strength to walk away, she will reshape you moment by moment into something small. You will call it compromise, but it is not. It is capitulation, and still, you will tell yourself it's love, because it is easier to believe you're sacrificing for something noble than to admit you're slowly erasing yourself. Let's speak of the fall, because every man who dances with this kind of woman has one thing in common: he falls, but not all falls are equal. Some destroy, some awaken, some lead to ruin, some to rebirth. Nietzsche did not fear the fall, he feared the man who never dared the edge, the man who remained so domesticated, so neutered, that he never glimpsed his shadow. That is what she is, the shadow, clothed in silk, the abyss in disguise. She pulls you in not with threats, but with promises, not with punishment, but with praise. And you, wanting to matter, wanting to mean something to someone, you follow, you lose inches of yourself. First your opinions, then your boundaries, then your mission. Soon you are no longer standing, you are bending, then kneeling, then crawling. You sacrifice your voice to preserve her comfort. You silence your instinct to avoid her disappointment. You betray yourself, inch by inch, until there's nothing left to betray. That is the danger, not her power, but your surrender. But all is not despair, for within this descent lies the seed of your resurrection. If you are willing, the return begins, not with revenge, but with reclamation. You must remember, love without strength is servitude. Compassion without truth is manipulation. Desire without direction is suicide. Nietzsche's answer was not to hate her, it was to outgrow her. Not to scorn the seductress, but to become so whole that her web no longer binds you. Become the man who no longer seeks permission to exist. the one who does not trade his fire for affection, the Übermensch, not a tyrant, but a sovereign. Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Nietzsche replies, become your own fate. But what does it mean to become your own fate? It means stepping out of the narrative she wrote for you, and writing your own, not out of spite, but out of necessity. It means refusing to be sculpted into someone else's masterpiece, and daring instead to be your own chaos, your own cosmos. You were not born to be a project. You were born to be a storm, a force of nature with direction, not decoration. And that's the truth. Many men are afraid to accept that some women are not looking for partners, but puppets. They don't want your truth. They want your obedience. They don't love your essence. They love your usefulness. And when you stop being useful, emotionally, socially, financially, they will discard you with the same elegance they used to lure you in. You won't see rage. You'll see indifference. And that's worse, because you'll realize, finally, you were never truly seen, only consumed.
She doesn't want your soul.
She wants your submission. But this isn't about blaming her. No, the tragedy isn't her power. It's your willingness to surrender yours. You gave it away, with every silent agreement, with every avoided conflict, with every yes when your soul was screaming no. And it's this slow erosion of self that Nietzsche called spiritual suicide. To avoid discomfort, you amputated your authenticity. To be loved, you became unlovable to yourself. You tried to earn permanence by becoming perfect. But perfection is sterile. It kills the wild man within, and she resents you for it. That's the paradox. She falls in love with your edge, your fire, your untamed self, and then tries to cage it. But when the lion becomes a lapdog, she loses interest. She doesn't want a man she can control. She wants a man who can't be moved, and still chooses her. But if you fold, if you become soft in all the wrong places, her respect withers, and when respect dies, love follows. You think she left because you weren't enough, but often it's because you stopped being you. This is where men fall the hardest, not from betrayal, but from self-abandonment. The silent killer of the masculine soul. Nietzsche knew this well. He saw the modern man becoming tame, agreeable, conditioned to please, not to conquer.
He saw men reduced to shadows of themselves, apologizing for their hunger, ashamed of their ambition, neutered in spirit. He did not pity them. He challenged them. You are not yet free.
You still search for a witness, someone to validate your becoming. But no one is coming. You must be your own judge, jury, and redeemer. This is the path forward, not revenge, not bitterness, but the return.
You return to your strength,
to your solitude, to the clarity that comes when you no longer beg to be chosen. You stop performing, you stop chasing, you stop pretending. You become dangerous again, not in violence, but in presence. The kind of presence that makes people speak carefully, move with awareness, because they feel the weight of your soul, not arrogance, but authenticity.
Not dominance, but direction.
And here's the beauty. When you rise from the ashes of the role you played, you'll find that some women fall away, but others, the real ones, finally see you.
They're not afraid of your power. They welcome it. They don't want a puppet. They want a partner.
But you'll only meet them when you've killed the part of you that needed to be liked more than it needed to be true. That's the threshold. The line between the domesticated man and the dangerous one. Between the one who lives by approval and the one who lives by principle. Between the man she imagined and the man who is. This kind of man is rare, but not because he's born different. He is made. In fire, in silence, in rejection, in solitude. He has suffered.
Yes.
But he did not let the suffering make him small. He let it sharpen him.
He became the blade.
And now nothing cuts him. Not her silence, not her absence, not even her love. Because he no longer sees her as salvation. He is whole. And from wholeness, he chooses, not out of need, but out of will. So if you've been broken, bent, or betrayed, good, now is the time. The time to stop asking, why did she do this to me? And start asking, why did I allow it? Because that question, the one that burns, is the beginning of everything. That question, why did I allow it, is where the mask cracks. It is not shame that answers, but clarity. You see the 1,000 moments you betrayed yourself in order to keep the peace. The times you laughed when your spirit winced, agreed when your gut howled, stayed when every cell in your body screamed to walk. You see it now. It wasn't just her power that broke you. It was your refusal to claim yours. But let me tell you something. Nietzsche knew and lived. No man is free who cannot say no. Not the passive no of avoidance, but the thunderous no that shakes the foundations of illusion. The no that draws blood, because every yes you give without conviction is a small death, a surrender of self. And men die in this way long before their hearts stop beating. They die in relationships that make them strangers to themselves. They die in jobs that neuter their purpose. They die in routines built on comfort instead of conquest. And worst of all, they die in front of women who once admired them, not because they were weak, but because they forgot who they are. And she feels it, instinctively. A woman's intuition is not poetic, it's primal. She senses your inner collapse long before it becomes visible. She may not even know why, but something in her withdraws. Respect turns to resentment. Desire dries up. Where once there was awe, now there is apathy. And the man, confused, desperate, wounded, starts to double down. More gifts, more apologies, more acts of devotion. But it's too late. Because what she needed wasn't appeasement, it was presence. She wanted your strength, not your submission. She wanted to lean into you, not lead you. She wanted to feel your spine, not your surrender. But you gave her the latter, thinking it was love. And in doing so, you killed the very thing she was drawn to. That's the horror. That's the irony. You tried to keep her by becoming harmless, and in doing so, you became invisible. Men do not become invisible. In a world that profits from your silence, your softness, your shame, do not become invisible. You were made to be seen, fully, in your depth, your darkness, your dominance. And when I say dominance, I don't mean tyranny, I mean authority over yourself. Mastery of your instincts, direction in your soul. Because if you are not the captain of your ship, someone else will be, and the sea does not pity the lost. Nietzsche wrote of the man who lives with a spine of iron and a soul on fire. He called him the Übermensch, the one who transcends the herd, not to dominate others, but to master himself. Not a tyrant, a creator. He does not follow, he forges. He does not whimper, he wills. He does not complain, he becomes. And this is your task now. To look into the mirror, not for beauty, but for truth. Ask yourself, what have I sacrificed to be accepted? Whose approval am I still chasing? What power have I handed over in the name of love, comfort, or fear? And then am I willing to take it back? Not all at once, but piece by piece. Every time you speak, when silence would have been easier. Every time you walk away from disrespect instead of explaining it. Every time you set a boundary, not as a threat, but as a standard. This is the return, the rewilding, the resurrection of the man you were before the world tamed you. He is not gone, he is waiting. Waiting beneath the roles, beneath the guilt, beneath the mask. And when he emerges, do not fear the loneliness, because on this path, the path of becoming, solitude is sacred. In solitude you hear your true voice again. In solitude you meet your edge. And it is only when you've met your edge, your darkness, your rage, your sacred no, that you can offer your yes as a gift, not a bribe. And some women will hate this man. They will call him arrogant, selfish, cruel. But others, the ones who have done their own work, will recognize him. They won't try to tame him, they'll walk beside him, because the dangerous man, the sovereign man, is not afraid to walk alone, and that makes him the most magnetic thing in the world. But understand this, the journey back to your center is not romantic. It is not a sunrise over a tranquil sea. It is a funeral, the burial of the boy you were taught to be, the agreeable boy, the boy who asked for permission, the boy who smiled when he wanted to scream. he must die. And he will not go quietly. He will fight for his survival, plead, justify, whisper lies. But they'll stop loving us. But they'll think we're cruel. But what if we end up alone, and you must stand above him like a god and say, then let them. Let them misunderstand you. Let them mislabel you. Let them call you names they don't understand. Toxic, narcissist, cold, too much. It does not matter, because you know this is not cruelty. This is resurrection. You are not becoming less human. You are becoming more real. Because what passes for masculinity today is not strength. It is compliance. And what passes for love today is not intimacy. It is transaction. I will love you as long as you play your part, Nietzsche wrote. The snake that cannot shed its skin must perish. And many men are perishing because they've forgotten how to molt. They've forgotten how to shed comfort, to shed illusion, to shed the desperate need to be liked, understood, saved, because what stands on the other side of that shedding is you. And no, not all women will love him. Some will fear him because he cannot be manipulated. He cannot be shamed into compliance. He cannot be guilted into silence. He cannot be seduced by weakness. He is not looking for a mother. He is not looking for approval. He is not looking to be rescued. He is looking for truth. And if she cannot offer him that, no matter how beautiful she is, no matter how sweet the lie, he will walk, not out of cruelty, but out of self-respect, because he knows the greatest betrayal is not being lied to by a woman. It is lying to himself to keep her. And when you reach this place, this raw, undeniable place of inner alignment, the entire dynamic shifts. You stop asking what do women want, and you start asking what kind of woman deserves me. You stop trying to earn love, and you start embodying it. Not the love of comfort, not the love of sacrifice, but the love that roars like a storm and moves with the dignity of mountains. A man like this cannot be domesticated, but he also does not dominate. He does not need to. His presence alone is power. It is not forceful, it is immovable. And some women, the ones who have made peace with their own darkness, will feel this. They will not try to compete. They will not try to tame. They will rise with you. Because the truth is, the woman you truly want does not want to lead you. She wants to trust you. She wants to lean into you like a cliffside wind, not because she is weak, but because she respects your strength. And strength is not loud. Strength is knowing who the hell you are, without apology, without compromise, without shrinking yourself to be digestible. But here's the price. You must risk being alone. You must risk rejection. You must risk walking into the desert of solitude with nothing but your own fire. But remember this, no kingdom was ever built in a crowd. It begins with one man who refuses to bow, one man who remembers his name, one man who walks through the ruins of his past and says, "This ends with me." That man does not chase. That man does not beg. That man does not explain himself to people who are committed to misunderstanding him. He simply becomes undeniable. And when you become undeniable, the world rearranges itself around you, not immediately, not easily, but inevitably. Because truth, once embodied, becomes gravitational. It draws everything real toward it. And those who are not real, they fall away. They fade like mist at sunrise, and you won't even chase after them, because you've lost the appetite for illusions. You've lost the taste for fantasy. You've lost the need to be needed by someone who never saw you. It is the greatest freedom a man can know, to be needed by no one, not because he is alone, but because he is complete. And now, finally, you can see her clearly. Not the woman who performs for the world, not the one who flatters and flutters and plays innocent with cunning behind her lashes, but the deeper force, the feminine chaos that both births and destroys. You do not hate her for this. No, you respect it, because now you know her darkness was never the problem. Your blindness to it was. You wanted her beauty without her shadow. You wanted her warmth without her wildness. You wanted her loyalty while still being a stranger to your own soul. And this is where Nietzsche speaks loudest. Be careful, lest in casting out your demon you exercise the best thing in you. The man who refuses to look at the dark woman, the real woman, is the same man who refuses to look at the dark within himself. And this is why so many men are lost today. They want her to be soft, nurturing, submissive, but they themselves are hollow, resentful, half alive. They demand the goddess, but have not yet become gods. So what does she do? She tests you, not always with words, often with silence, with distance, with her shifting moods, with her flirtation with chaos. And the boy in you cries, "Why is she doing this to me?" But the man watches calmly. He does not flinch. He does not chase. He does not chase. He simply sees, because now you understand. She is not trying to hurt you. She is trying to find your edge. She is trying to feel, with every part of her being, can I trust this man to hold my storm? And if the answer is no, she will collapse into control. She will mother you. She will test you endlessly. She will lose respect. Because if she cannot trust you to lead yourself, she will lead you and hate you for it. But if the answer is yes, if she senses, in your silence, the presence of something immovable, she will surrender in a way no performance can imitate. Not because you forced her, because you gave her relief. Relief from pretending to be strong all the time. Relief from guarding herself from weak men. Relief from the burden of control she never wanted in the first place. And this is the rarest thing in the world today. A man whose presence is order, not control, not domination, not manipulation. Order, the kind of order that says, you can fall apart here, and nothing will be lost. You can show me your rage, your chaos, your darkness, and I will not disappear, because I have already met all of that in myself. That is what Nietzsche meant when he said, you must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. You cannot lead a woman if you fear her depths. You cannot meet her soul if you're still afraid of your own. You cannot hold her in truth if you're still addicted to her approval. So you stop performing, you stop pleasing, you stop trying to be the nice guy she says she wants but never chooses, and instead, you become the man she cannot lie to, the man she cannot control, the man she cannot help but respect, even when she doesn't understand him, especially when she doesn't understand him, because that's the paradox. She wants to feel your mystery. She wants to feel that you are not hers, that you belong to something higher, a mission, a principle, a truth greater than her comfort. And when she senses that, truly deeply, she feels safe, not comfortable, safe, because comfort can be faked. Safety cannot. Safety is in your rootedness. Safety is in your refusal to abandon yourself. Safety is in your unshakable gaze that sees everything. The mask, the game, the fear, the little girl hiding behind the temptress, and meets it with nothing but presence. That is the man she craves. That is the man she tests for. That is the man who changes her life, not by saving her, but by standing so fully in truth that she remembers her own. So now, you stand before her not as the boy you were, hungry for validation, eager to please, terrified of abandonment. You stand as a man who has walked through the fire of truth, and she sees it. Not because you told her, not because you posted about it, not because you wore it like armor. She sees it in your stillness. She feels it in the way you listen, not to reply, but to witness, not to win, but to understand, and it unsettles her. Why? Because this presence is rare, because this presence is holy, because this presence undoes all her illusions, just like it once undid yours. This is what no one told you. The deeper her chaos, the deeper the man she demands, not with her words, with her being. She cannot help it. She does not even understand it. But every flicker of drama, every emotional storm, every moment of withdrawal or seduction, it is not to destroy you, it is to find you. Can you feel that? Every game is a prayer. Every test is a plea. Please, for the love of God, be real. Please, show me I'm not crazy to want something more. Please, show me that truth exists, and that I can rest in it. This is not about dominance. This is not about gender roles or pickup tricks, or some red pill strategy. This is about truth. This is about your soul. Because what happens when you meet her, not with game, but with groundedness, What happens when you stop flinching, stop placating, stop proving your worth? What happens when you look her in the eye? No defenses, no performance, no seduction, and you say with your being, I see you, I accept your light, your rage, your need, your chaos, and none of it moves me from myself. What happens then? I'll tell you. She melts, not into obedience, not into submission, not into some fantasy version of femininity. She melts into truth, and she begins to trust again. Because now, she sees a man who doesn't need her validation, who doesn't fear her emotion, who doesn't run when the masks come off. And that kind of man, he's not just rare, he's revolutionary. Because when a man becomes that, he doesn't just awaken the woman, he awakens the world. He becomes the axis around which reality can reorganize. He becomes a mirror that reflects without distortion. He becomes a force that inspires, not through noise but through presence. Nietzsche knew this. He said, the higher we soar, the smaller we appear to those who cannot fly. And yes, she may resist, she may rage, she may test you again and again, but it no longer bothers you. Because you know, this is not about you. This is about her dance with the divine, and you are merely the vessel that does not shatter when touched by the storm. That is your power, to hold without clinging, to see without judging, to lead without controlling. That is what makes you rare, that is what makes you unshakable, that is what makes you free. So remember this, she does not want a perfect man, she does not want a tamed man, she does not even want a powerful man. She wants a true man. A man who has walked through his own hell, met every ghost in his psyche, felt every temptation to betray himself, and still chose to be whole. That man is the rarest force on earth. And once you become him, not every woman will be for you, but the ones who are, will never let you go. Not because you need them to stay, but because your presence is the medicine they never knew they needed. And in that sacred stillness, where nothing is chased, nothing is performed, nothing is controlled, there is love, not the Hollywood kind, but the kind that terrifies because it is true, the kind that breaks every pattern, the kind that exposes every lie, the kind that leaves you both naked, raw and free, because now, finally, you see her not as an angel or a demon, but as a mirror, and you see yourself, not as her savior, not as her slave, but as the man who can walk beside her. No illusions, no lies, no masks, only truth. And that, brother, that is everything. If you've made it this far, if you felt this message hit somewhere deep inside, don't just scroll away. Don't let this be another piece of truth you consume and forget. Take a moment right now to like this video. Share it with another man who needs to hear what you just heard, and subscribe, not just for us, but for the next man, the one still trapped in illusion, the one still searching for truth, the one waiting to be set free. Your support spreads this message. Your action wakes the world, one man at a time.